Lenin, like that, or the Chinese Mao Zedong, and then they study about Washington. These are people they think they are very able to learn and then how to govern like that. In some ways they may be able to do something, but in general they cannot help the people under them. Okay? Because they don't have a source of good instructions to follow. They don't know. Nobody can tell them. They don't have administrators who say this is the best way to rule the country. They don't have that. Every time you see a new government comes or a new president comes, he brings his own cabinet and they think, oh, let's try this. And then 4 years later, another try. So they're all ruling according to what their whims and fantasies are like that. Okay. So therefore you find so many different kinds of institutions set in the present society. But it's all Prabhupada said, all these are bogus institutions. Right? Look at the Red Cross, right? They collect funds, money, they ask people for some earthquake in, let's say, in Hungary or somewhere, Turkey or somewhere. So they'll collect 10 million, but only maybe, if they are lucky, 1 million can go. Otherwise, only 500,000 will go. Because they will say, oh, we have administrative costs. So much cheating is going on. So Prabhupada says this is all bogus. And then you see so many people are still starving in this country. This is supposed to be the most wealthy country. But you go downtown in the street, you see so many beggars, right? So many places.
Seattle has 30,000 homeless children.
There you go.
30,000.
Children. Soon they'll be adults. So therefore, the system is not working properly. So we should understand that, intelligently, you yourselves can study the situation in the world, and you can come to the conclusion, but that over the years you've seen, they're not really helping anyone. So you should conclude their methodologies are not really feasible.
No, actually, no matter what they do, only all the wealth will go to a few people. The system is such.
Yeah.
For example, the more software a company sells, only a few people in the cabinet will get richer and richer, regardless of what you do.
Exactly.
It's invariable.
Yeah, that's how it is, right? Always the CEO and their board of directors get the money. All the other people have to cry.
No, at least employees are getting decent salaries, but that's the way it is. The society's money will be sucked away just by a few corporations.
Yeah.
That's invariable.
You can't stop that, because there's no such thing as dealing properly with the people. Because there's no law which says it's wrong.
There's nothing is wrong.
Right? Legally they say as long as you can make profit, you're okay. So there's no law saying that everyone should be treated properly. There's no such thing. They'll say moral attitude, behavior should be there, but they can't pass law, right? They won't, because they themselves are not worthy of such positions. Just like the judge, Supreme Court judge and all, they have the position. But really, they are defective. There are 4 defects. And so how can they come with great decisions? They cannot. They'll make mistakes, and which they are making now, and you can see the repercussions. Right? And it will only get worse, because this is the nature of Kali Yuga.
Yeah, and few people in like Gaza Strip or somebody realize that they are being cheated day in and day out, then they become whatever they are becoming right now. And they come and blow up everything.
Oh, yeah, because they have no choice. Because the whole system is set to cheat them. So therefore they feel, at least, if I die like that, let me kill some few people and it should be alright. Yeah. So therefore, anyway, Prithu Maharaj understands that everything belongs to the Brahmanas or to the Supreme Lord, because the Brahmanas represents Krishna. So as long as he is ruling under them, seriously, nothing belongs to him. He sees like that. And you can't find that like that, Now these people think everything belongs to you, right? In some subdivisions, it's ruled by the housing committee, right? We think that So you can't do anything. You cannot, if you want to plant some flower bushes, they'll come and say this is not allowed according to our rules. So therefore, what do you own? You don't own anything. Really, you don't own anything. Because everything belongs to Krishna. But everyone pretends they own everything. When they die, somebody will take it. Right? If you die and you're alone and you have no family, then everything goes to the state. Right? Like that, So they used to have much more good laws, but everything is being cut down nowadays.
One old lady gave her cat $2 billion.
So now everybody
Now there is a lawyer managing that cat.
So
if the cat has children, then how much should go to the children? How much should go to the doctor? Now they have to decide all this because the cat is the owner now.
But the cat, what rights the cat has, that's what's happening now. So then now you go to Supreme Court for them to decide. This is the big brains working on a cat.
2 billion with cat.
Cat has money. So there was also a similar case. Some lady gave some money to her dogs and cat in the house. So the servants and all were supposed to look after, but within a few years all the animals died. And the servants all took the money and left. Next 46. Swameva Brahmano Bhumte
Swameva Brahmano Bhumte
Swamvaste Swam Dadati Cha
Swamvaste Swam Dadati Cha
Tasyayanugrahenanam
Bhunjate Kshatriyadaya
Bhunjate Kshatriyadaya.
The Kshatriyas, Vaishyas and Sudras eat their food by virtue of the Brahmanas' mercy. It is the Brahmanas who enjoy their own property, clothe themselves with their own property and give charity with their own property. So among all this group, the Brahmanas don't earn anything. Therefore they do their own thing. That's what it means here. No? They don't take some money. If they take them, they cannot be on the position of a Brahmana. You become obliged to somebody. Brahman means you are not obliged. You shouldn't be obliged to anything. So therefore you look at the past Mahabharata, you can see the position of Dronacharya and Kripacharya also. Both of them were under the payroll of the Kauravas. So therefore they were more or less obliged. So Brahmanas are not supposed to. They are supposed to be neutral and guiding principle. But due to circumstances, Drona was like that and Kripacharya was like that also. So it's a sad situation, but it happens. So we have to understand. But here the point is, everything is because of Brahmanas. If they are very qualified, they do yagnas properly, they worship the Lord properly. So the whole society in that country, state benefits because of their execution of dharma, so to speak. So in another case also, Prabhupada makes that nice statement, Namo Brahmanya Devaya. So the Lord also looks up to the Brahmanas because they are representative of the Supreme God. That's very important for us to understand this. So pretty much the whole purport is about how the Brahmanas deal with the different category of people, Brahmanas, Vaishyas, the Kshatriyas, like that. Okay? Who has to do what? Like, for example, Brahmana has their own thing, so they can give in charity and take their in charity. That's how. But the Kshatriyas have the opulence, so they are supposed to actually give a lot of charity like that. Okay? And the Vaishyas are supposed to do cow protection, agriculture and business like that. So it's, all these things are already there. So Brahmanas, when he needs something, the other Varna and, are supposed to come forward and help them. They need a house, the king should give him a house. They need a money, the Vaishyas will come and give some animal or stuff like that. The Brahmana is not supposed to do anything, actually. So that's how it was set up in those days. And the Shudras will come and help in the building or the labor like that. So, but this is the whole instructions of Prabhupada's life. purport is there. So in any case, in a Devi Varnashram system, everyone works under the direction of the Brahmanas. And if they worship Lord Krishna, then everybody benefits. Right? And they offer prasadam, then they give to the other Varnas, they take and they make advancements or progress, or they can even go back to Godhead in the same lifetime. It is not that only the Brahmanas will go back. No. Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Sudras, all will go back if they all follow the instruction properly of the of the Brahmanas or the kings who are Krishna consciousness. So, like the Brahmanas are very careful about sinful activities because they want to remain in mode of goodness or in transcendental goodness. Whereas nowadays the whole government is pushing for people to be sinful. So what to do? Everybody has to suffer, right? But then Prabhupada says it's a situation of the age of Kali. Text 47. Yad idrishi bhagavato gatiratmavada
Yadidrishi bhagavato gatiratmavada
ekantato nigamabhi pratipaditanaha
Ekantato nigamabhi pratipaditana
Dusyam tudabra karuna sapritena nityam
Dushyam padabhya karunasvadena nityam
Donama tat pratikaroti vinodapatram
Ko nama tat pratikaroti vinodapatram.
Prithu Maharaj continued, how can such persons who have rendered unlimited service by explaining the path of self-realization in relation to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and whose explanations are given for our enlightenment with complete conviction and Vedic evidence be repaid except by folded palms containing water for their satisfaction. Such great personalities can be satisfied only by their own activities which are distributed amongst human society out of their unlimited mercy. So you cannot repay such people. So similarly you can't repay your spiritual master. You can't repay Srila Prabhupada for what they have given us. It's not possible. The only thing we can do is follow their instructions nicely. That's our payment. Otherwise, how can you? Just like if you go to Ganga, right? You want to worship Ganga, you have to take Ganga Ganges water and offer it back to her. Like that. So similarly, they have given us this so amazing instructions to go back to Godhead. So what is there, right? What is there that we can give them? Nothing. Except that we should become good devotees. That's all. So Prabhupada writes in the second purport, knowledge of Krishna is such a great gift that it is impossible to repay the benefactor. Therefore, Prithu Maharaj requested the Kumaras to be satisfied by their own benevolent activities in delivering souls from the clutches of Maya. The king saw that there was no other way to satisfy them for their exalted activities. The word Vinoda Patram can be divided into two words, Vina and Uda Patram, or can be understood as one word, Vinoda Patram, which means joker. A joker's activity is simply arouse laughter, and a person who tries to repay the spiritual master or teacher of the transcendental message of Krishna becomes a laughing stock, just like a joker, because it is not possible to repay such a debt. The best friend and benefactor of all people is one who awakens humanity to its original Krishna consciousness. Nice purport. So we are all jokers. Right? You cannot repay your spiritual master. You just have to worship them and then be happy that they are guiding you. Text 48. Maitreya Vacha Atma Yoga Pataya Adirajena Pujitaha Shilam Tadiyam Samshantaha
Ilam Tadiyam Samshaha
Evavan Mishatan Yunam.
Evaman Sishanam Yuram.
Translation: The great sage Maitreya continues. Being thus worshipped by Maharaj Prithu, the four Kumaras, who were masters of devotional service, became very pleased. Indeed, they appeared in the sky and praised the character of the king, and everyone observed them. So they are from Siddhaloka, so they are not touching the ground. Generally, demigods don't touch this planet because at the moment we are all very, very sinful, so they don't touch this planet. If they come, they float. So, like yesterday we were saying, right? The Satyaloka, then Tapaloka, Janaloka, Mahaloka, Swargaloka, Bhurloka, Bhurloka, Atala, Rasatala. After Rasatala is Patala. So they can go anywhere they like. But only in the higher planet, they in demigod up to Swargaloka they can touch, or they will touch. Otherwise they will avoid touching. Not worthy of their presence. Like that. That's an interesting point Srila Prabhupada's point. Text 49. So these personalities you cannot see nowadays because they are amazing persons, huh? So they don't come. Text 49. Vainyastu duryo mahatam
Vainyastu duryo mahatam
samstitya dhyatma shikshaya
Samstitya Shikshaya
aptakamam vivatmanam
Aptakamam Vivatmanam
Nenatmani avastitaha.
Nenatmani avastitaha.
Translation: Amongst great personalities, Maharaj Prithu was the chief by virtue of his fixed position in relation to spiritual enlightenment. He remained satisfied as one who has achieved all success in spiritual understanding. Now, if I would ask you, where is the knowledge about people from Siddhaloka, where would you say?
Srimad Bhagavatam.
Where? Which verse?
The previous verse.
Exactly. So, but do you keep an index? So you all have to start doing that, you know. It's not Bhakti Shastri. Now Bhakti Bhagavatam, you all have to start keeping an index. So that anytime you want, you have an index. You say, oh yeah, this is in this. It's easier for you for reference also. And then you'll remember better that way also. So anyway, coming back to the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes, remaining fixed in devotional service gives one the utmost in self-satisfaction. So this is actually that has been done, experimented by devotees, and they know that as long as you continuously in your life do devotional service, you will remain happy or satisfied. Actually, self-satisfaction can be achieved only by pure devotees. So that means you have to constantly do devotional service, who have no desire other than to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So you can see for yourself, you will try to do your best to serve Krishna, but then some desire will come, and then you will stop and go. Then you can see, understand why you are not always happy. Okay. Since the Supreme Personality of Godhead has nothing to desire, he is fully satisfied with himself. Similarly, a devotee who has no desire other than to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead is as self-satisfied as the Supreme Lord. Right? If you touch fire, you will become like fire. Like if you put iron in fire, iron takes the quality of fire. So similarly, if you do devotional service all the time, then you become just like the Supreme Lord, satisfied, self-satisfied. Because you are happy serving. Everyone is hankering after peace of mind and self-satisfaction. But this can only be achieved by becoming a pure devotee of the Lord. So therefore, something for you all to think whether you want to be pure devotee or you just stay here forever like that. Of course, Prithu Maharaj is the best because he shows us how to serve not only the people but the Supreme Lord also. Very good example, prime example of the Mahatmas. Next 50. Karmani cha yata kalam
Karmani cha yata kalam
yata desham yata balam
yata desham yata balam
yatochitam yata vittam
yatochitam yata vittam
akarod brahma satkritam.
akarod brahma satkritam.
Being self-satisfied, Maharaj Prithu executed his duties as perfectly as possible according to the time and his situation, strength and financial position. His only aim in all his activities was to satisfy the absolute truth. In this way he duly acted, which also for us to learn also. You can do according to time and your situation or place you are in, how much you have, your health, financial situation, all that same. But in his case, he really wants to serve Krishna. But we can use that as an excuse. Right? That's what we do generally. Oh, I have this thing to do, but actually you don't want to come to the temple or do service like that. So these are some things for us to think about. And it helps us to do our duties properly later on in our lives. As you get older and older, if you don't spend time with Krishna now, when you get old, it's very hard. Your mind is like a rebellious young youth. It's like a child always. Up to the time you die, the mind will be like a little kid fighting with you. So you have to start controlling it now, learn all these things nicely. And then it will help. Right? Don't wait until the end. You need to sit chairs. No problem. So the activities of Prithu Maharaj, because he dealt in such an amazing way, in this particular verse, it said that his activities were not ordinary. When we do, it's ordinary. But Prithu Maharaj's activities were not ordinary. It's extraordinary. He showed us exactly how to please the Supreme Lord. Prabhupada quotes Rupa Goswami. Srila Rupa Goswami has advised that things which are favorable to devotional service should not be rejected. So at all times in your life, you have to see, is this, in any situation, ask yourself, is it favorable for my Krishna consciousness? Then you do it. If not, then you shouldn't do it. Depending on your situation or your conditioning, you will give in or not give in. Okay? So, not favorable, you should reject it. If favorable, you should not reject. Nor should activity favorable for devotional service be considered ordinary work or fruitive activity. For example, an ordinary worker conducts business in order to earn money for his sense gratification. The devotee may perform the same work in exactly the same way, but his aim is to satisfy the Supreme Lord. Consequently, his activities are not ordinary. There's a distinct difference there. No? How you employ your wealth. Sense gratification or Krishna's pleasure. So, in the next paragraph, towards the middle of the next paragraph, on the beginning towards there, Prabhupada says, it is therefore said by a Vaishnava poet, Vaishnavera kriya mudra vignena bujhaya. No one can understand the activities of a pure devotee. Pure devotee's activities may appear like ordinary activities, but behind them there is profound significance, and that is the satisfaction of the Lord. So we cannot judge every devotee based on our mundane consciousness. You can only you have to see through scripture why this devotee is like that. And so on. So it requires a lot of advancement before you can look and judge another devotee. Otherwise, you should just take a humble position. So therefore, Prabhupada says, if you want to understand the activities of a Vaishnava, one has to become very expert. Otherwise, we just have to make sure we do our Krishna conscious properly and nicely. Text 51. Palam Brahmani Sanyasya Nirvishanga Samahitaha Karmadhyaksham cha manvana Atmanam Prakrite Param Maharaj Prithu completely dedicated himself to be an eternal servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, transcendental to material nature. Consequently, all the fruits of his activities were dedicated to the Lord, and he always thought of himself as a servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the proprietor of everything. So it's a confirmation statement of what he was doing previously. When he said nothing belongs to me, he said. Now you can see why, because he doesn't think that everything is his. He sees Krishna as the owner of everything. So in a sense, when one works actively and then he's trying to dedicate to Krishna, that kind of activity is known as karma yoga. Okay? So this is a very good example of karma yoga. So palam brahmani sanyasha, one must give the fruits of his activities to the Supreme Brahman. Then you get purified. Then it's yoga. If you don't, then it's more like karma, simply karma. And then you cannot complain many lifetimes from now, why I'm suffering, I did all good. You don't know which lifetime you did what. So it's very difficult, right, to understand karma. It's a very complicated situation. But if we understand now, or in this situation, in our lifetime now, because we've taken up Krishna consciousness, so we should understand now. I do not know what I did in previous life, and I'm suffering. But now I should do whatever for the pleasure of the Lord. So at least my prarabdha karma and aprarabdha karma, kutam, bijam, all of them will be purified or got rid and nullified by the Supreme Lord. Like that. Have to try to work on that principles. Otherwise, you will find your life, sometimes situations will arise and you are confused. Why? Right? Sometimes you see, you read in the papers, a whole aircraft suddenly crashes. So many people die. And then they say, my son is such a good boy, my daughter, my husband, my wife. Very hard to explain. Nobody can explain. Except through
scriptures.
Vedic culture. We have the best answer. Nobody can give any answer. Of course, you can't go and tell them it's your son's karma. Because they are not ready to listen to this.
One person just got sucked in the... In India it happened. Aircraft got sucked in.
That's a horrible way to die. Engine. So, in a couple of paragraphs down, Prabhupada's the word nirvishanga, uncontaminated. You see the paragraph? So there Prabhupada writes, in this material world, a person is always thinking of the proprietorship of everything he accumulates or works for. When the fruits of one's activities are rendered to the service of the Lord, one is actually practicing karma yoga. Anyone can practice karma yoga, but it is especially easy for the householder who can install the deity of the Lord in the home and worship him according to the methods of bhakti yoga. This method includes 9 items: hearing, chanting, remembering, serving, worshipping the deity, praying, carrying out orders, serving Krishna as friend, and sacrificing everything for him. So that's a verse from the 7th canto. Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam Padasevanam Archanam Vandanam Dasyam Sakyam Atma Nivedam. These methods of karma yoga and bhakti yoga are being broadcast all over the world by the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Anyone can learn this method simply by following the examples of the members of the society. So the members of society must be doing it properly. Otherwise they will cause chaos.
So one can install a deity at home, but still be attached. That's still a problem.
Yeah.
Correct.
The thing is,
Hearing chanting will be going on.
Yeah,
but
but
still there is that.
it is, but you have to sincerely do it. We may install a deity just for show, or maybe in the beginning it's genuine, then you lose interest because you don't practice properly. One who's serious means at the end of the day after his job he's like, I'm not interested, I don't want to think about job. I want to sit and admire my Lord, praise my Lord, pray, sing for the Lord, cook for the Lord. Those are the things he should be thinking from the time he gets up till the time he goes to bed again. So that needs cultivation, practice. Not just, I have to do it, why I have to do it. That's the other problem, right? You install a deity at home, then you think, I have to get up and I have to cook for the deities. Then their mind will play tricky, you shouldn't have installed deity. And then you see sometimes people will come to the temple and you see a deities at the temple door.
Also, they just give them away.
Yeah, they don't want. So many people will do that. Every now and then you see Prabhupada's books will be stacked outside, and people just don't want to have anything to do with this. So it is like that. So if you have deities then in the house, then everybody becomes automatically servant of the Lord. That means the house belongs to the deity. So therefore you have to be taking care of the deity. And that's why it's very important. Unless you can do it, don't whimsically install deities. Because they need to be taken care every day nicely. Right, text 52. Most of the other points that we have already covered in the previous verses and chapters. गृहेषु वर्तमानोऽपि सा साम्राज्यश्रियान्वितः नासज्जन्देन्द्रियातेषु निरहं मतिरर्कवत्. Maharaj Prithu, who was very opulent, due to the prosperity of his entire empire, remained at home as a householder. Since he was never inclined to utilize his opulences for the gratification of his senses, he remained unattached, exactly like the sun, which is unaffected in all circumstances. This is a good point also, because even though he was householder, generally householder means you tend to accumulate and buy stuff, and then you get attached to those things. But in the case of Prithu Maharaj, he shows an ideal grihastha. Even though he had so much wealth, he wasn't getting things to enjoy. He wasn't interested in that. So whatever wealth was there, he always thought it belonged to the Supreme Lord. So then the example is the sun. So Prabhupada in the next verse, he says, in this verse, next paragraph, he says in this verse, Maharaj Prithu is likened to the sun. Arkavad. Sometimes the sun shines on stool, urine, and so many other polluted things. But since the sun is all powerful, it is never affected by the polluted things with which it associates. On the contrary, the sunshine sterilizes and purifies polluted and dirty places. Similarly, a devotee may engage in so many material activities, but because he has no desire for sense gratification, they never affect him. So in a sense, Prabhupada says money and all are like stool and urine. So we shouldn't try to handle it too much. At least that's what I understand. Text 53.
So, question.
Yeah.
So some people will say, Yukta Vairagya, therefore I'm doing it for Krishna, and then they start accumulating. Right? I mean, they may be doing 10%, 20%. Still there is that tendency to...
Well, if you accumulate for yourself, then you're not doing it as Yukta Vairagya. Right? You're doing it, Yukta Vairagya means you're using everything in the service of Krishna. then you yukta vairagi. You cannot just say, oh, I'm going to use for Krishna, then, we're going to use for example, TV, 78, 90-inch TV, we need it, for preaching. Then you put it in the temple, nobody there, you turn on, watch CNN or whatever you want to watch.
Or if people may say, this is Krishna's home, I need to get new blinds. The old blinds are okay, but because I have money, I'll spend for new blinds. So
it's possible.
So it's very, very difficult actually.
Because some people are very fruitive.
Mm-hmm.
They don't believe in giving donation, but they want to buy something. So then they will know that their money is used. That's how some people are. So therefore you find a situation where you really need to get something and tell them, why don't you sponsor this? You have to become smart as well. Okay, next 53. Evam adhyatma yogena karmani anusamacharan putrang utpadayamasa pancha shishyatma sammatam. Being situated in the liberated position of devotional service, Prithu Maharaj not only performed all fruitive activities, but also begot 5 sons by his wife Archi. Indeed, all his sons were begotten according to his own desire. Basically means he followed the principles properly. Garbhadana samskars and all that are done by both him and his wife, and therefore these children are what they wanted. And therefore they had them. Not like nowadays, the mother doesn't know, the father doesn't know, and then suddenly the child is there. Like Divya Putra, they like somehow how the child came. I don't know, you don't know, like both of them don't know how. Like that. And of course, certainly the children will not be of a high caliber. If they follow the samskars, generally the consciousness is at a higher level, so you attract the very high conscious living entity. What happened to Dada? You okay?
She's doing her homework.
Okay. Alright, do.
I don't get it, so I'm just asking my dad.
Yeah, don't disturb your dad now. You can disturb after 9. Alright, so that's the difference between a cultured population and an uncultured population. They understand the science behind having good children and not just simply having a child. It's a difference. It's a difference between having a human being or a demon taking birth. That's what it is.
So other than the acharyas and the elevated souls, do we have any practical examples in the last 1500 years of good population resulting from Garbhadana Samskara? Like is there any example?
Actually in India they're pretty much good until only last 30, 40 years, right? Or maybe 100 years, when they screwed themselves up with all these politicians and all messing them up. But up to then I think they were pretty good. Even with the Muslims conquering them, they still were following very nicely. But nowadays Kali Yuga is so progressive, so
Nowadays there's nothing.
except for Krishna conscious movement, nobody is following properly. Maybe pockets here and there around the world, more in India still.
Yeah.
But otherwise, no. But hopefully, Prabhupada's point here is that as long as we preach nicely, we can maintain this age. We can have a golden age within Kali Yuga. Right? Now, Prithu Maharaj wasn't interested in just having children. He wasn't thinking, I want to have a kid like that. He's thinking who would rule the country. Based on that kind of consciousness, they had children. Not for, like Prabhupada says, lust. Not because of that. So there's a culture there, like nowadays they don't think like that. all based on your emotions and consciousness, lusty desires, and they have children. Then you have a child with a different, it's a low conscious like that. Text 54. Vijitasvam dumrakesham
Vijitasvam dumrakesham
Aryaksham dravinam vrikam
Aryaksham dravinam vrikam
Sarvesham lokapalanam
Sarvesham lokapalanam
Dadaraika priturgunan
Dadaraika priturgunan
After begetting 5 sons named Vijitashva, Dumrakesha, Haryaksha, Dravina and Brika, Prithu Maharaj continued to rule the planet. He accepted all the qualities of the deities who govern all other planets. So here he's describing, he's so good, he had the qualities of the demigods. When you become really Krishna conscious, automatically all these qualities of the demigods are invested in you. The Lord bestows those qualities, and automatically, because you are so dedicated to Krishna, it comes out automatically. So of course, we know the other points that Prabhupada mentions, that Kshatriyas are coming from 2 dynasties, Surya Vamsa and Chandra Vamsa. Surya Vamsa is considered the main one, and then the subordinate kings are the Chandra Vamsa. But of course, Prithu Maharaj is so powerful, he has every qualities of both these dynasties.
Actually, King Louis VI, he claimed that he came from Sun Dynasty and that everybody should obey him and all that. He used to make statements like that.
He may have read some Vedic
literature
stuff,
and
then he
pretended.
Pretend, who knows.
Louis of France. Yeah.
French.
Like outside of Paris, he has this big chateau,
Mm.
huge one. That's what he constructed.
Anyway, next 55. Gopitaya Jagat Srishte
Gopitaya Jagat Srishte
Kale Swe Swe Chutpatmakaha
Kale Sve Sve Chudatmakaha
Manova Vrittivi Somya
Manova Vrittivi Samya
Gunai Samranjayan Praja.
Gunai Samranjayan Praja.
Since Maharaj Prithu was a perfect devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he wanted to protect the Lord's creation by pleasing the various citizens according to their various desires. Therefore, Prithu Maharaj used to please them in all respects by his words, mentality, works and general behavior. So here you see, it's a different kind of a ruler and king. He kind of comes down to the level or meet the ordinary citizens and tries to help them out, in so many ways. And he wasn't proud of himself, which is very rare. You can't see those kind of qualities nowadays. The closest you can say was like Srila Prabhupada, how he dealt with all kinds of people, and they all left happy. When they left, they always said he's amazing or very nice. And then 20, 30 years later, you talk about Prabhupada, you say, he's amazing, it's wonderful. When they interview him later, So here you can see, this is what generally a leader is supposed to be. He should act in such a way that there's so much love between the people who follow him. Right? When he truly cares for them, then of course the people will also give their life for that leader. That's what we are seeing here. So he wants to protect them, and therefore he went all out to please and protect the citizens, and they in their own way reciprocate because of his wonderful qualities. Prabhupada writes in the middle of the purport, although this material world is condemned when it is compared to the spiritual world, there is still some purpose behind it. Modern scientists and philosophers cannot understand that purpose, nor do they believe in the existence of a creator. They try to establish everything by their so-called scientific research, but they do not center anything around the Supreme Creator. A devotee, however, can understand the purpose of creation, which is to give facilities to the individual living entities who want to lord it over material nature. The ruler of this planet should therefore know that all the inhabitants, especially human beings, have come to this material world for sense enjoyment. It is therefore the duty of the ruler to satisfy them in their sense enjoyment as well as to elevate them to Krishna consciousness so that they all can ultimately return home back to Godhead. With this idea in mind, the king or government head should rule the world. In this way, everyone will be satisfied. I like that word Prabhupada says like that. So this is actually how a king should satisfy, or how a ruler in a country should satisfy everyone. That is the main point here. Whatever facilities they need, it should be. Now they don't want to give you the facility, right? A lot of people want health benefits like that. No. The rulers here don't want. They want to like take things from you. You pay for this, you pay. Even when you die, you have to pay. Do you know that?
For the cremation?
Whatever, funeral parlor, whatever, you still have to pay. So they say they have insurance for that also. That it's like, like close to 10 to 15,000 or something to cover. So you have to take insurance for. Otherwise, what they'll do? They'll throw you over the ocean or something. Let's see this one. What is it?
This sense enjoyment is like lust, right? The more you satisfy, it more increases.
If you satisfy, you don't increase.
More you try to fulfill that
Yes,
feeling,
if you try to fulfill,
then it will increase.
Yeah,
So what
there's no
does it mean to
satisfaction.
satisfy?
Huh? Where?
See here it says, Prithu Maharaj last, having come to material world for sense enjoyment. It is
Yeah.
therefore the duty of the ruler to
Satisfy them. Okay, whatever they need, he
Needs.
provides them. So they know my king has given me this much, right? Yeah. Whatever, like enough food, nice housing, those are things will satisfy in general most people. Right. So those are things the rule, the administrative branch or in society, those are the things the governing body has to give. People want homes, so it should be affordable. Okay? People want food, it should be affordable. People want some health benefit, it should be affordable. Like that.
Basic necessities.
Basic necessities should be there. It's not that you what do? You blackmail them, which is what now society is. The leaders are blackmailing the people. You pay, otherwise you don't get this. Right? It's extortion actually. And you elect them so that they can extort you. It is. Think about it. So you go and say, I like this guy, he looks so sweet and handsome, and then the guy's the worst crook. Right? Think carefully. Text 56. Rajeti adanna medyam Somaraja iva paraha Suryavad Vishrijan Greenan Pratapamscha Bhuvo Vasu Maharaj Prithu became as celebrated a king as Somaraja, the king of the moon. He was also powerful and exacting, just like the sun god, who distributes heat and light and at the same time exacts all the planetary waters. So he is again compared to the demigods, the sun and the moon, because they also serve the different people in the universe, both the sun and the moon. Right? The moon, in the night the moon shines, so the plants can make food, and then in the daytime the sun distributes heat and light. and take some water, dry some water from some ocean and rains different places like that. When the moon is, when you do all your sacrifice properly, the moon in the night, the moon is supposed to be refreshing. It's supposed to actually affect you nicely. But in Kali Yuga, you cannot do all these things. Some countries have so much smog, and they can't even see the moon.
Or rain.
Or no rain like that.
Not too much rain.
Yeah, so here they are comparing to Prituma, how he was also just like the sun and the moon, giving protection to his citizens. All these are just glorifying Prithumara's, how he ruled these people. Next 57. Durdarshastejase Vagni Mahendra Eva Durjaya Titikshaya Daritriva Dairiva Vishtadonenam Maharaj Prithu was so strong and powerful that no one could disobey his orders any more than one could conquer fire itself. He was so strong that he was compared to Indra, the king of heaven, whose power is insuperable. On the other hand, Maharaj Prithu was also as tolerant as the earth, and in fulfilling various desires of human society, he was like heaven itself. So again, nice qualities of Prithu Maharaj. Continuing text 58. Vashati sma yata kamam Arjanyaiva tarpayan Samudraiva durbodha Satvena chala radhiva Thus his rainfall satisfies everyone's desires. Maharaj Prithu used to satisfy everyone. He was like the sea in that no one could understand his depths, and he was like Meru, the king of hills, in the fixity of his purpose. So he was deep and great, and he was fixed in his determination, like that. A.K.A. Kurunanda. So when he makes up his mind, that's it. Nobody can tell him to change. Of course, he's Krishna conscious, so whatever he makes his mind up is correct. Next verse. Dharmaradiva shikshayam Ascharye himavaniva Kuberaiva koshadyo Uttato varuno yata Maharaj Prithu's intelligence and education were exactly like that of Yamaraja, the superintendent of death. His opulence was comparable to the Himalaya mountains, where all valuable jewels and metals are stocked. He possessed great riches like Kuvera, the treasurer of the heavenly planets, and no one could reveal his secrets, for they were like the demigod Varunas. Ocean deep, so you never know what it is. Just like in the ocean, nobody knows what's happening, right? Very hard to. They can go to the space, but they can't really understand our ocean still. So it's interesting. We opulent jewels and metals. Remember we were reading previously also. All these minerals and valuable jewels are in the mountains. If we do yagna properly, the mountains will give the valuables. So when people read this, they immediately will go to the mountain and they'll try to dig it or blow it. Himalaya mountains, they'll blow it.
Well, and salt. They're getting salt.
They'll get salt.
They're getting salt.
Himalaya salt. Anyway, yeah, you can get many minerals like that. That's how in those days, according to your sacrifice, The mountains will give the nice minerals, and the rains will fall, and the rivers will bring to the land, and the land becomes fertile like that. And then the oceans, all the shellfish, pearls, all are formed, and different kinds of valuables you can go in the ocean to get. But we can't do it nowadays. Text 60. Matarishveva sarvatma
Matarishveva sarvatma
balena mahasaujasa avishayataya devo bhagavan bhutaradiva. In his bodily strength and in the strength of his senses, Maharaj Prithu was as strong as the wind, which can go anywhere and everywhere. As far as his intolerance was concerned, he was just like the all-powerful Rudra, extension of Lord Shiva or Sadashiva. So you can't push him. Once he knows you're wrong, he becomes very angry. So you have to submit to him. Just like Bhumi was trying to give excuses, he got really angry. Like 61. Kandarpaiva saundarye Manasvi Mrgaradiva Vatsalye Manuva Nirnam Prabhutve Bhagavanaja. In his bodily beauty he was just like Cupid, and in his thoughtfulness he was like a lion. In his affection he was just like Swayambhuva Manu, and his ability to control he was like Lord Brahma. So basically all the good qualities.
Prabhu, may I ask one thing?
Like,
I have missed many classes, maybe you covered it up, but what I remember from my first class which I attended when Maharaj Prithu came out of the body of King Vena, it was said that he is the supreme personality of God.
yeah, he's Aktivesh.
Right, and now we are saying in many verses he is like this, and he did this. This is how he treated Kumaras and he talked. But if he is the supreme personality of Godhead, we know he is good, and now we are comparing him with different demigods, with sun god and all those.
Yeah, so they are all those, everyone is qualities of Krishna in any case.
Right.
So the Lord has all those qualities.
But if he is the God, Shaktivesh Avatar,
Yeah.
I think we know that he
But
is
not all
somehow
Shaktivesh
the-
Avatar will display all these qualities. Some Shaktivesh Avatars don't display all these qualities. Some do. So for Kumaras also Shaktivesh Avatar, but they are Jnana Shakti.
Jnana Shakti.
Yeah. So like that, the personalities Shaktivesh have different reasons and different performances, different qualities. So here he is a ruling person, Kshatriya. So he is displaying all these wonderful qualities. And part of the Bhagavatam is to glorify such personalities. And so what we are doing is we are glorifying Maharaj Prithu through the Bhagavatam also. And yes, he is representing Krishna at the same time, even though he is a Shaktivesh of Krishna. So there's nothing wrong in that.
But I'm thinking if he is God, he already has all those qualities, and then we
But
are
he's
comparing
not
with Lord Shiva and
he's
all
only
that.
a Shakti Avish. He's not God.
Lord Vishnu
He's a
Tattva.
Jiva empowered.
Yeah.
He's a Jiva empowered.
We went through that already. He's a living entity who is empowered. And in his case, it's very special Shakti.
Even Krishna himself, like in Bhagavad Gita, compares to many entities. He
Cupid,
says
yeah.
that I am like the sun, I am like the Himalayan amongst the mountains.
Yes.
I'm
That's when we understand.
seeing the vibhutis.
So,
It's just comparison from you can come within your environment. If you don't understand what the people in a different country do certain thing, or someone says, "Oh, that girl I saw so beautiful," then if you have never seen a beautiful girl, what is your comparison? How are you going to understand what beauty means like that? So your village people will say, oh, she is like her, like so much more pretty than her, then that's how you will understand. There was one